for the country, think about Libya today. Bond of contention, fuel. Right? Sweet crude that they have. Mimi hapo mkinita million expert. I've just not been donated to government.
Sweet. Wow. You said sweet crude.
Yes. Yes. You're doing it. Let's go to the proverb. Now, the heart of a fool is in their mouth, while the mouth of the wise is in their heart. Chomba, how will you interpret it?
How I interpret that is that a fool speaks first and then thinks later, while a wise person thinks and then speaks later. Yeah.
Isaac, how do you interpret it?
I just need to first get it because I may use it later. The heart of a fool
is in their mouth.
Is in their mouth.
While the mouth of the wise is in their heart.
Ah, okay. I think it's just what my colleague is saying, that a fool will talk even before he digests what he's supposed to be talking about. But a wise person will even not talk what is in the heart, because actually the mouth is in the heart. For them to talk is actually what has come from the heart. Yes.
Well said.
That's how
well interpreted.
Okay. Yeah. So, void of wanting to sound very intellectual, what's going on with electricity prices, for crying out loud? And we know that we're going to come and ask Martin what they're doing to make sure that the prices go up. So, villain against villain. What's going on?
Now, first of all, I am happy to get to know Chomba. And I have a colleague called Chomba again. So I was just wondering how comes my colleague was invited and he didn't come. But then he's called John Chomba. This is Martin Chomba. But interesting, I just wanted to understand that Chomba is in charge of petroleum outlets. And so he's in an association that is for the people or for the government?
It's for the people.
It's for the people.
It's an organization that basically looks at the welfare of the petroleum dealers, and then again
and the consumers,
consumers as well, and also looks at looks at where government is doing right and what they are doing wrong, and we are able to synthesize that for the common person.
Okay. Now, good enough. Now, first of all, let me start by saying the normal hype that comes between 10th and the 20th of every month is not normally true. That electricity prices have gone up by about 5 shillings. It is not true because you find there is something that is normally gazetted and is normally communicated between Kenya Power and EPRA. They normally say that this is the generation that was done using diesel last month. For example, now they were communicating. What is actually now the discussion that is on is because of the communication that happened on the generation for diesel and other parameters in June, which are normally done just maybe before 5th of July, okay? It's normally that communication that goes from Kenya Power to EPRA. And what they say is that because of this generation, please compute the pass-through costs. The pass-through costs, I've always said, that is the fuel cost charge, is the water resource authority charge, which is WARMA, and then there is the forex charge, and then there is the inflation. Those are the variables. I will not talk about the rest, because that is rural electrification and the EPRA and the VAT. Those do not vary. But now those 4 keeps on varying. I also need to clarify that inflation only varies after 6 months. What we have right now has gone for 7 months, just because we didn't do a review of the tariffs. Okay.
But what does that mean, Isaac? It's for the person who is buying tokens for 500 shillings.
Yes.
When you talk about the variance in inflation, we don't understand that.
What you need to understand is the cost of generation every month varies, because sometimes the units we have generated using diesel or heavy fuel keeps on varying, and we cannot be charged in excess or a reduced cost. They have to do the actual. So now that cost is normally communicated every month. The total for the 4 is coming to 5.2. So that communication is what was going to EPRA. But people just hijacked the information and thought that actually now this is an additional to the bill. But if you look at what you're being charged this month, it's not going to be very different from what you were charged last month. I think the only difference is just about a bob. And actually, I have forwarded a table of those, of the cost. But because I like what Martin has come at the right time, because I want to tell him that there are times, I don't know whether you are aware, and that is on the Gazette notice for July, which I have also forwarded, and I will be able to share with you later. That the Gazette notice shows that the fuel, the cost of diesel that was used in Mombasa, in Rabai, for example, was around 119 shillings. But the cost that was used in Faza Island was 400 shillings. So now, I know you are controlling and you are trying to advocate for the consumers. What are you doing about such cost that is too high and it is being loaded to electricity users?
Oh, are you asking Martin the question, or are you answering out?
I wanted him to know that the Gazette notice for this month has come with a cost of 119 shillings for the heavy fuel oil in Rabai and Mombasa Kipevu 3, but what has gone to Faza Island is 400 shillings.
Okay,
so what is the error?
If we can dumb it down just a little bit.
Yes.
What we are saying now is that this extra cost on electricity that we are all going to have to pay in this month of July is as a result of diesel prices having gone up.
Yeah, but it's not 5 shillings.
It's how much?
Because
how much is it?
It was, like, for example, in last month, to be specific, I want to read what is specific. Last month, the cost that was going for diesel was 3.14. Fuel cost charge was 3.14. This month is 3.2. Okay? Just a slight increase. For Forex is where I would complain, because it was 0.72 per kilowatt hour, and they have gone to 1.48. Of course, the dollar has not doubled.
Okay, Isaac, let's do it like this.
Yes.
If I have 1,000 shillings, and I do the thing, and I used to get 35 tokens, now I am getting 30.
Yeah, to be specific, you are getting in June. You are getting, because I think we have interacted with your bill too much. You are getting 36.52 last month. Right now, you are getting 35.43.
So yes, it's not 5 shillings, it's less by 1. So there's no cost for...
Actually, the actual cost change for your tariff was 27.38 in June, is now 28.22. But I always say, I am going to give you, I will let Chomba also chip in, but I'm going to give you 2 sites that you will be able to see the tariff you are in and the cost.
Now, the assumption, Martin, is that this increased cost has something to do with fuel prices.
Fuel prices. Ndu,
yes.
Allow me first of all to say this, and I've said this countless times, and I'm glad sometimes I've been listened to, and others, this is ignored. I still want to say, we've been told, or rather it is said in the learned circles, that ignorance is no defense. But I've always argued this, that who should be more indicted? Should it be an ignorant population, or leadership that is ignorant, that it has ignorant population?
Okay.
I believe leadership that is ignorant, that it has ignorant population, should be indicted more than the ignorant population they lead. What do I mean? When in Kenya we have people who have been given responsibilities to articulate some of these issues, I think it's incumbent upon them to appreciate that we do not all come from the school of thought of engineers and such. That you see the things that Mr. Ndereva is talking about, because he has been socialized in this industry for so long, it is very easy and he understands them. But when they come, if you look at what Ndu is trying to say, is that how do I interpret this as a common person in a very, very simple language? I would not mind if they went to the media and even interpreted these kind of findings in languages that are indigenous, so that people do not sometimes have panic, which occasions some of the national distress that we find ourselves grappling with from time to time. Suffice to say that the communication dockets of these ministries and departments have a problem when it comes to dispensing information in the right manner that Kenyans can understand and appreciate. Having said that, I wish to say that it is true, the question that you are asking about the Faza Island and such, that the premise upon which we discuss or look at how petroleum products are costed in this country is the domain of EPRA. EPRA, if you go to EPRA page yesterday, they published the prices of fuel, diesel, super petrol, and kerosene across the country. They have the common person is that these contracts are not guided by those pump prices that EPRA announces every day, every 14th. So if you come to my petrol station today, I cannot sell diesel above what EPRA decided yesterday. But if you go to these independent power producers, they have their own arrangement because this pump price does not govern
their own arrangement
how they buy.
with whom?
With their suppliers of
procurement system.
The procurement system.
Sounds
so they'll
illegal.
put in things.
Is EPRA not for everybody?
EPRA is a regulator. It's supposed to be a regulator for everybody. But the prices that they regulate for us, the ones that they announce every 14th, is specifically for the pump price. If you look at it, they call it the pump price. So it does not involve the individual contracts of suppliers. There are organizations, say like industries in here in the industrial area, there are those who use diesel. That price, the pump price, is not a regulation to that, how they buy. That is left to the contract that the suppliers have with those industries. And this applies also to the independent power producers. They have their own procurement system with their suppliers of diesel because we know they use diesel. But we are not, it is not in the public domain that they buy diesel at this much.
Wait. Chomba, what I'm hearing you say...
Dennis is very surprised.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that is the truth, but Dennis will ask something.
Because my question is, EPRA is telling Wananchi that the cost of diesel that you will buy is at X amount at the pump, right? EPRA, is it EPRA ministry, imports fuel into the country. Power producers as well import fuel into the country. Right, import diesel that they will use to produce
or rather
power.
They buy imported diesel,
right? And that is not controlled by EPRA. They're not subjected to what it is you are subjected to.
I'm saying I am not aware of a control by EPRA on how independent power producers procure their diesel. They have their own systems of procurement of diesel.
They are not regulated by
They are not regulated the way we regulate pump prices. And so this, in my thinking, is a serious loophole where they can cost the price of diesel in a way that it takes care of so many things. You know, in business, we can take care of so many costs.
I like the way you're doing the air quotes.
Just
say extortion.
Because we say that any prudently incurred costs should be compensated. And sometimes those prudent costs can vary, if you know what I mean.
So, how does lack of regulation affect the end cost of power that is being now sold to Kenya Power or EPRA
to the
distribution?
Consumer. Yes. Actually, it's not so. The fuel cost does not affect Kenya Power or KenGen at any one point because it's a direct pass-through to consumers. It's normally calculated every end of month, and they pass through. So Kenya Power says, this is the generation that we got from this point, and so it's communicated to EPRA. Number one, which I find a big loophole, it is not Kenya Power that is supposed to communicate to EPRA about the generation. Because generation has been done by the producers. These are just distributors. Okay? That is number one point. So EPRA should find a way to get the readings directly from the generator. IPPs, That is number one. Number two, I am quite aware that they do not regulate heavy fuel oil or industrial diesel oil. And we normally have like 5 of the major, like if you talk of Arabai, Kipevu 3, you talk of Thika Power, Triumph Power, and Iber Africa or something like that. And then Muhoroni. Those ones they don't regulate. And if you look at the price, it is actually 119 just around there. But now there is another problem when you have diesel, because those are IPPs. Let me start there. Those are IPPs. There are other generators in Madeira, Faza Island, and those others, which are, I think, 30 of them. Those are owned by government. But now, those owned by government is because it's a generator of about 1 megawatt, like in Madeira, in Kakuma, or whatever. Now, those ones are owned by government. But now it is the government that allows people to supply fuel oil, or to supply diesel, pure diesel actually. You know, a generator is supposed to use diesel, not heavy fuel oil, because it's a 1 megawatt. That same diesel that Arori is being sold for at 242 or something is the same one that in Faza Island will be 400. So then I am just wondering.
The same batch.
The same batch.
So you know me, I like pictures.
Yes.
So a lorry, truck brings a tank of fuel.
Yes.
From Mombasa.
Yes.
From Mombasa.
Yes.
And it is, where did you call it?
Faza Island.
Faza Island. Yes.
And also
in Lamu.
In
Lamu.
And then there's also, where did you call the other place?
Kakuma. And Mandera.
Same fuel.
Same batch of fuel.
Okay.
Yes.
Landed cost everything the same for this
Same.
lorry.
Yes.
In Kakuma.
It's the same that he's been given.
No, actually, let me talk of the gazetted fuel in Mandera is perhaps 280. Okay?
Let me
For
just go
example,
back to this
just that
picture.
petrol station outside that generation plant.
Isaac.
But now just the next
of
door is
400.
400.
Isaac.
Okay.
Yes.
So whatever the landed cost was,
Yes.
we finished with that.
Yes.
We go to Kakuma,
Yes.
we sell it per litre at whatever, 400 whatever. The same tank is selling in Faza at 400, 500, 600.
Yes. Yes.
Why would there be that disparity when you paid the same thing for the entire lot, but then you decide to offload it for different prices to other people? Because you know who gets the short end of the stick here is the end user.
That's the end user. In fact, to bring it closer to for the listeners to understand, you are in Lamu, Faza
Yes.
Island.
Yes.
You want to fill your tank. You want to fill your lorry.
Boat,
Yes.
your boat.
Your boat, for example, with the diesel. You buy at, for example, 250.
Yes.
But just the next 5 meters where the generation plant is, they are buying at 400. What does that mean? That actually could be that petrol station that actually is now, you're buying there and feeding it to that, just 2 meters or 5 meters, and then you load 400. That is what we are saying, the height of irregulation, where EPRA just buries the head in the sand and allows that cost to come to the end user, who is the consumer, in electricity prices.
So Martin, the thing that you did not want to say was extortion. So I can say,
Yeah,
so
that
now,
is the word.
Is that the word now that you would be talking about when we say that this
yes,
same
you
thing
see-
is being sold across board and the profits that people are then getting are really crazily high?
You see, I cannot appreciate that in a time, an economy that we run, where we talk about regulation, that I can actually go and generate power and decide my costs and communicate that cost to Kenya Power. Then the Kenya Power in turn communicates to EPRA, and then EPRA charges the common person. Because you've given me a free check. You've given me an open
Exactly.
check. I can decide what my costs are. And so if we talk about regulation, we must regulate all the way. We must regulate every aspect of production so that EPRA bears the full responsibility whenever such things happen. Otherwise, they cease to be people who regulate. They become people who announce costs.
Yes.
And that's a big difference.
Isaac, so if I bought fuel at 400 bob in Faza, Mimi Niko Faza, right?
Yeah.
And I'm purchasing power that is generated from the
Faza petrol station.
from the generation
power station, yeah.
power station. What does that mean to my tokens when I'm buying it while in Faza?
Thank you, Dennis. I want to clarify here that the cost of power is not as per the region. They take that power, that cost of buying that fuel. They don't charge to the people in Faza. They bring it here to Kenya Power so that it can charge everybody. So watagawanya such that you are paying for Faza. Where you are seated there, you are paying something for Faza. So the 400 shillings is affecting you.
So that means
Yes.
where if regulation was happening where they're buying that fuel at say 250 and generate power at an affordable price.
Yes.
If I am buying today say 500 for 35
Yes.
because of additional costs in Faza, I am not getting 35, I'm getting 32.30.
Yes.
Because of additional charges in Faza that ought not to be there.
Yes.
Okay.
So now that is what we are saying, that don't think that people in Faza are the one who are suffering. They bring that
everybody
cost
else.
wholesome. They do a whole average for all Kenyans who are actually almost 9 million or 10 million users. Kila mtu analipa kadogo. And that's why we are saying, if you see as 3.2 shillings, can you multiply that by the total units which are sold? And right now we are playing around 1.2 billion units to 1.3 billion units.
Okay.
So that cost of those are kilowatt hours. So you multiply the 3 point something, multiply by those units. So we are talking about the fuel cost charge was around 4 billion every month.
I want us to take a break. Then I want to come to Martin so that we can understand something about where these prices go. But if what you're saying is the case, then why is it, if everybody pays kidogo, then why don't we have one unit cost for tokens across board, whether you live in Runda, whether you live in Joska, whether you live in Faza? Why?
No, the cost is the same throughout.
It's not.
The only
if
difference is
buying tokens, I get 36.
The only difference
is getting 51.
The only difference is because the classification. You could be in Faza and you are actually paying cheaper than your neighbor in Faza.
That is my question.
Okay.
If we are all adding money, why are you classifying the cost of the unit?
Now that is I don't know how much time we have before break, because I wanted you to
let's take a break, then you come and ask that, because you must answer that question.
Yes, I must answer.
If we are saying that everybody's paying a little bit, it's like a SACCO. It's like a SACCO, we're all putting something inside. Then you come and tell me that your loan you'll take at 2%, you'll take at 18%. Why?
I will explain.
Why do you classify us?
Because we are socialists when it comes to
classify me. Give me power.
Let's take a break. This one we'll get the answer to today, because people want to know. All right, Mark.
This is the situation
which you have sent. Why?
Okay, now, just wanted to clarify that when it comes to pass-throughs, it is the same.
Pass-through?
Pass-throughs is, for example, fuel cost charge, EPRA, Warma, Forex. Those costs, which we are saying are 5, which are gazetted every month, the one that people are saying it's 5, that communication they picked, they thought is an increment. That is the same for everybody. Everybody pays that cost. The only difference is now when it comes to the base tariff, the money that is paid to Kenya Power that is not passed through, that is where we have a classification. Now, I would want to guide the listeners and even the people who are in this studio that you can go to the Kenya Power self-service. It's Kenya Power self-service. Go to Google. Kenya Power self-service.
Are you asking? Okay.
Yes, I want us to do that because the listeners want to understand.
Okay.
Go to your Google, type Kenya Power self-service. Yes. Have a token meter number in mind or somewhere. You may copy from what you pay. You have your meter number? You can copy it from your phone book. Let us do slowly because this is going to sort out a lot of problems. Okay? So the first thing is that you go and copy. I'm sure most of the people have got them in the phone book. So token, mine I have typed as token. I go and copy that big number. Once I copy, then I go to the website that I have said. It's called, in my Google, is KPLC self-service. Okay? Then you open that self-service.
Yes.
It's a modification of the My Power app that was working, but it's now not working. So then you go to, you can see the website has opened something called the Apply for Electricity Bill Meter Search. Have you seen search?
I'm just seeing my meter details and history.
No, but we said you go to Kenya Power self-service.
We have people who are there.
You're there. Then you have opened and seen Apply for Electricity, Bill Meter, and that change account name. Have you been there? Then go to the Bill Meter Search.
Yes.
Once you go to the Bill Meter Search, can you paste that number there and search? You'll say meter number. Please don't select the account number. Select meter number. Then search. Have you been able to see where you have been?
Do you see something?
Yes.
You've seen that you are in DC what?
I am seeing from 6 to the last time I bought my tokens.
Yes, but it is written tariff domestic ordinary what?
DC2.
DC2.
Yeah.
So that means you are in DC2. I don't know, Chomba would be in a certain DC.
No, me, I'm looking at the common person listening,
Yes.
understanding what that DC2 means.
Okay.
In a very synthesized language.
Okay. The DC, DC1, DC2, DC3, people consuming beyond 100.
Okay. And how do you find this information? I have to have used power first for you to classify me?
Yeah, you will have to use your
it
power
first.
for 3 months.
It's not because of where I am.
No.
Because my neighbor
Yes,
could be running a factory.
Yes.
And they pay significantly more in terms of tokens, or rather they receive less tokens for the same amount that we pay.
Yes.
So you have to have used it first before you're classified. Is that what you're saying?
You have to use for 3 months. Now, what I am telling
But
people
who pays more now? Is it the DC1?
Okay, now
DC2,
that's
or
where we
DC3?
are going. That's where we're going. Now, from there, go to the website again on Google. Then you type steamer tracker. That should be easy for you. Steamer tracker. Okay? Have you seen something called Steamer Tracker? Kenya, Steamer Tracker Kenya. You will see it leads you to electricity costs in Kenya.
Steamer Tracker.
Yes. It leads you to electricity cost in Kenya. Okay? Once you press that electricity cost in Kenya, you will be able to see the various costs down there. Okay? You will be able to see this is DC, this is DC1, this is DC2, and then you will see the cost for each. And you will see that the pass-through, if it is a fuel cost charge, is the same for all. Okay? And that is what we were saying here.
Yeah, the variables, yeah.
The variables.
Now
so if you need to see the DC3, DC1, DC whatever, the price will keep on changing.
Okay.
Yes.
So in an easy language, the person in DC1
yes.
pays less or higher.
They pay less in June.
Okay. So if you're getting less tokens
yes.
for the same amount of money,
yes.
it means maybe you are in DC2 or DC3.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that is the language I'm sure the common person out there
exactly.
is waiting for, because they might not be able to synthesize this.
So now, Martin,
yes.
when we see that prices have gone up, because these are conversations that happen in isolation, but they're also conversations that happen in concert. So now when we are saying that, oh my goodness, I get less for my token, because before they removed the charges, remember before we used to have all of those charges that would show what it meant, and we would all be up in arms and ask, oh my God, all these taxes on this thing. That's why I spend 1,000 shillings, but 68 of it goes towards these taxes, which they still do. They just don't show us where it goes anymore. Now, some of that is an energy cost. Amma?
Yes,
exactly.
3 shillings, point something is fuel.
It's fuel. So it's not just at the pump, but then it's also distributed everywhere else. So when people are up in arms, by the way, obviously we know that the Strait of Hormuz has been closed yet again, indefinitely, because these guys can't seem to figure out the issue. But that has happened, and that is probably going to see us with higher cost. Maybe not now, because we're already past this time, but then later. So when you talk about just announcing fuel prices, these things have already been taken into consideration. What do you suspect would happen in the next 3 months if this fiasco continues?
Thank you. That's a question that we are really discussing within our circles, because, like I said, the world has to find a way of moving past the Strait of Hormuz issues. It is very uneconomical, or rather it is not very prudent for the countries around the world to be enjoying fuel at the benevolence of peace at the Strait of Hormuz. And we know by now that Iran will always use the Strait of Hormuz to solve their geopolitical issues with whoever it is. That today it is US, tomorrow it might be Europe, but we can be sure of that. And so if you look at it, in the last 1 month, I expect actually in August 14th, the prices of fuel to be cheaper. Because in the last 1 month, we had even gone below, the crude had gone below the pre-Iran war crisis prices. And so, now that the prices have started shooting up, you realize something that is very different. When the war broke in March, the prices went up exponentially, so bad that we went to 100, 110, 120. But now, when they closed yesterday but one, you'll see the surge is up to around $80 from around 72. This means that the world has weaned itself off the Strait of Hormuz reliance. And if you look at what is happening, including the arrangements like OPEC, some countries are feeling like now this is no longer tenable. We may want to chart our own costs. We may need to regulate how much fuel we do, like output into the system, and so forth and so forth. So what I'm seeing is that we are getting to a place where there's going to be a bit of predictability, and the oil is not going to be allowed to be such a disruptor of the world economy. If you look at every other major economy around the world, is organizing their energy and especially their petroleum issues, so such that it's not, because what we have had, there's this principle we call complex interdependency, where we rely on each other. You'll find like US today being the largest producer of petroleum, they still import a lot of petroleum from other countries for economic reasons, balance of trade, and all those kind of things.
Also, plus they want to keep the reserves for themselves for later.
Yes. That's true, but it's not the major issue. most of the times, balance of trade and such. We don't want to get to the situations where you remember the student of history will tell you there's a war that was called Opium War between the England and China, because England had nothing to sell to China, yet they were buying a lot of tea from China, and they forced them to buy their opium. You got to buy something from us, and the only thing we have is opium, and there was serious war. So because of balance of trade, you'll find that a lot of countries, they are buying fuel across. You have yours, but you're still buying. China has, it still imports. So you'll find now people around the world, economies around the world, have started organizing their energy sufficiency and security around their borders, such that it will be, look, for instance, if Kenya, we go through with the drilling that we are doing up here, and then Dangote's thing is done, the refinery is done, Kenya might not be susceptible to those shocks, as it were, because we'll have our own. So you'll find that it will be very easy to get resolve energy crisis around the world. So likewise, I feel our power, we have to make deliberate and conscious effort to win ourselves dependency on these costs that we are talking about, because everybody today is selling efficiency. Even industries, media houses, everybody is selling efficiency. We cannot be operating with systems that are open-ended, that I can give the cost that I want, and then I expect the common person to be okay with that when we are telling everybody to be efficient. I like EPRA because I give credit where credit is due. They have passed a regulation the other day that bulk energy users can now procure power independently without necessary
electricity.
Electricity. Malls and those guys who use a lot of petroleum, they a lot of energy, they can procure that, and that's a step towards the right direction. And I believe
they can procure directly.
No, actually, if you are talking about electricity, that's not. They have. It's like the way you normally say Kenya Power is not monopoly. But it is monopoly by a situation of monopoly. Why I'm saying that is that if you have said that EPRA has allowed anybody to buy power from Orkaria, that's what you're saying. Where is the way live? Who will distribute power and bring to someone consuming 200,000 if you have all not agreed around? You have to agree, most of you, such that it will make economic sense to bring. That's why I said it was approved and it was passed, but that is not practical.
What I mean is, it starts from somewhere.
It starts from somewhere, but it's going to be
conversations now starts from somewhere, because the minute now you decentralize the distribution of power at some point, it means now I can look for money, organize myself, and create a system. Okay, but before there is a regulation, before you are allowed to do that, it's very constrained. You cannot even think towards that. So what I'm saying is that we are now facing. You see, if we say we want to go to Mombasa, we must face south. Even if you are not moving, we face south.
Show your intent.
So, so now what I'm saying is that EPRA has faced south. And so it is now for us to organize our vehicles and whatever the economy, because now those regulations are what now attracts investors, is what attracts people to come now and say, look, there's an opportunity here that we can invest in. So that is what I'm lauding EPRA for.
Okay.
And I thought...
Isaac, allow me to ask this question. Also, we'll get down to the nitty-gritty so we can understand. And one of the things about we sometimes complain without knowledge, right? Now, the source of power for Kenya is largely hydro at the moment? No. What is it?
It's a geothermal, which is giving 45%.
Okay, 45%.
Yes.
Hydro is how much percent?
Hydro is about 25%.
25%. Okay, so that, it's about half that we're talking about.
Hydro, you're not able to increase because the sources are the same.
Okay.
But for geothermal, we still have 10,000 megawatts.
All right, and some of that is unused.
We have only tapped less than 1,000.
There you go. Yes. It's unused power, and Kenya is in contracts at the moment for the next, 20 years for that power, used or not, right?
Yes.
Now, this hydropower is where the energy Martin's people come in is to run the generators for this power?
For hydro.
I'm asking.
No, for hydro.
Where does the energy that we are speaking about come into play on our bill?
Okay. Now, we have different sources of power in Kenya. We have geothermal, we have wind, we have hydro, we have biomass around Naivasha, which is only 2 megawatt and not producing anymore. We have solar in Selencain in Eldoret. But then we have diesel, which is now what we are saying about Mandera, Kakuma, Faza Island, by the Kenyan government, which has given Kenya power because they have their own chiefs and the DOs and the DCs there, and they still want power. So Kenya Power told them, provide for this. But then the consumers to pay for fuel. Which consumers? Distributed for the whole country. But then we have independent power producers. Those I don't have much of a problem because they are using independent diesel oil or heavy fuel oil, which is not regulated, and that's what we are saying. EPRA must regulate. But even the ones they are regulating, which is low sulfur diesel, which is consumed by our lorries and some big cars, Prados, it is the same diesel that is used by those generators. So if we are buying that diesel at 250 in Mandera for a Prado there, even the generating plant that is there should be able to use the fuel at 200 and something, and not 400. That is the oil that we are talking about.
Because it's just the water question. Because I've seen a comment here to then understand, and people are talking about, oh, well, our dams were full all this whole time. Like I remember when they said there would be power rationing because the dams were operating at below capacity. How does that affect things today?
Okay. Now, what happens is when we don't have enough, they scored a lot of water in the dams. And remember, we don't only have the Seven Fox dams. We also have Takwell, we have others, even small hydros. When we have low water supply in terms of running the turbines, some people confuse that those turbines need diesel. No. It is the water that runs those turbines.
Got it.
If we don't have sufficient water, then it means the Kenya's demand, if it was like 2,500 megawatt in Kenya, you have to find a way to supplement because you don't want some people to go without power. So that is the time you bring in the standby diesel generators. So
what happens when there is an excess amount of water for a long period of time, like there was with the floods?
The diesel power producers will still be paid.
That's what I'm saying. These contracts that you get into, even if you're not using that power source, these folks are still being paid, and the whole lot of us have to keep paying them.
Let me clarify. Let me clarify something because we are going
contracts
to
demand so.
The contract. Let me tell you what happens. The contract, the amount of money. I will talk about Rabai, for example. We normally Kenya Power normally pays Rabai, for example, 4 shillings for every unit produced. Okay. Whether it is produced or not, they have to be paid the 4 shillings.
I don't even know who's sat at the table.
The problem is that when actually it has been running, that time that has run for 2 hours, the fuel used did not have a contract with Kenya Power for 4 shillings. That is now what is loaded to consumers. This more 4 shillings, we have no problem because it was discussed with Kenya Power and they signed a contract. But now on the fuel cost that is passed to consumers directly, that is the one we are complaining about.
I have a simple question. Yeah?
Yes.
So places like Kakuma and Mandera that you're talking about, or Faza Island, is because the grid where then that is being produced using hydro or geo has not gotten to those places. Yes.
It's not economically viable to transmit from Nairobi to Mandera.
From Nairobi to Mandera. So the option is to use thermal power, right? Yeah. So one asks the question then, how do we bring the people of Mandera and Kakuma to affordable power so that all of us do not suffer? Because at the end of the day, where is equality in supply of power to the people of Mandera if everyone else is to suffer?
The unit of generation in Mandera for 1 kilowatt hour could be 50 shillings, 60 shillings. But would it be fair to charge them like that? Because those places will be deserted. So the best way is to take that cost and reintegrate them within the total consumers in the country so that kila mtu alipe
and still at a higher price.
So that even if you are here, umeenda Mandera, you want to sleep in a hotel, it is not expensive because you have gone to the wrong place. That is how they have done. But I had like Chomba wants to say something.
Yes, I wanted to say... I had somebody say the other day saying that they be allowed to brag. Allow me to say I'm a student of development studies at the PhD level. And there's a concept in development that was developed by an American sociologist called Peter Evans. It's called embedded autonomy. Embedded autonomy talks about the balance. It explains why, using the same market concepts, some countries have gone very far, others have found themselves even being industrialized, whereas have really industrialized, the likes of Singapore and such. So we call it autonomous, embedded autonomy, which means there need to be, in a normal day, we say that the government must pull off from the markets. Kabisa, from the market to let the industry thrive. But we say they must also possess a very competent bureaucracy that is not beholden to the political class or does not have interest in the business, such that they are able to make regulations without looking at themselves, without looking at the political benefits, such that it is for the benefit of the country. This is what we have had with what we call the Asian tigers. Then we also need a government that is also competent enough to make sure that they give the requisite template for development. They provide, if it's road, they are able to provide road. They are able to provide power. Now, what we need in this country, because it's not just about electricity, is that we must have a bureaucracy, a government bureaucracy that is competent enough, and they are not beholden to the political patronage. Because as long as that is happening, because we can discuss the what we are discussing here, but it just takes one political statement or one call from a different office, and all that which has been discussed, because Kenya is not devoid of serious, competent bureaucrats. We have so many of them in those offices. But the problem is what they advise taken seriously. And that's why I am saying, and I will continue to say, that this country, our future, is in the hands of the critical mass. The day we shall attain critical mass of people who are able to ask questions, not make noise, ask questions that demand answers that are not, not those answers that you give, That is the day we shall get somewhere. And that's why some of us have taken an initiative. Like now in September, towards the end of September 29th and 30th, we are holding a conference. It's called Afri-Fueling Conference. It's to discuss everything at KICC that concerns petroleum. It is free for Kenyans. You don't pay nothing. You come and learn everything there is to learn about petroleum. So that once we attain critical mass of people with the knowledge about the industry, then it becomes very hard for people to treat energy costs and petroleum costs as if it is national defense
You've talked
budget.
about monopoly.
Yes.
One of the issues that have existed in this country is that Kenya Power enjoys monopoly, and therefore they can tend to set prices at whichever price they want. In terms of opening the market, is that a way for Kenya to go so that different power producers get in and compete with Kenya Power for pricing?
Not producers, different power
generators. Yes, distributors, yes.
Because the producers may remain the same. Just like the way we are saying that they have allowed Kenyan to sell to whoever they want, which is okay. But I'm saying in terms of the well-lived problems, and the economical viability for you to take power. Let's assume, for example, now we don't have power in Magadi. Okay, you have established that the first point you have customers is Magadi. They need your power, but you need to transmit that from Morukaria to Magadi. First of all, the cost of construction of infrastructure is too high. Yet the people who want in that locality are going to be generating like 200,000 per month. Are you, as an investor, going to find that viable? So there must be a way in which the government will make it easy, such that it owns the infrastructure. Then the different players can come and use the same. But right now, Kenya Power is ahead because the infrastructure they acquired was assisted by the government by different presidents. And if you now bring in other players, they will not have the same advantage. So that's why we are saying for Dennis Aseto to get power from other people other than Kenya Power, that is likely to be in 2070. Yet we will still have that regulation. But since we are coming to the end of the show, let me announce this because I think that is what was mentioned. First of all is that there is no power price increase by 5 shillings. It's only the pass-through cost that changed, and they only increased by about a shilling from the previous. So even the units that you were getting the previous month have reduced by a single unit. Okay, we are saying that as electricity consumers advocates. So we are not saying that on behalf of Kenya Power. Number two, we were supposed to have a tariff review control period. From 2023, we are supposed to have another one in 2026. So this July 1st, we were supposed to have a new tariff. Actually, it was supposed to be in April.
Can't these tariffs ever be reviewed downwards?
They have never been. But that is the application that was done. Let me start this way. The application that was done by Kenya Power to EPRA was done. And then we got a wind of what they were talking about. They were exorbitant and too high. Yet we had already put our proposal that power prices are supposed to go down.
The one that were put on hold?
Yes. Okay. They were put on hold because we said power price is supposed to go down by 5 shillings. They withdrew, and it's actually the CS who said we have withdrawn. I don't know for how long they have withdrawn, but you can be sure they may not review anything before the elections in 2020.
Dereva, is there a point where power generation has been lower, but prices have remained being high? And why is that?
The power prices are constant, whether there is uptake or not, is only when that you would have too much generation using diesel. That is the only time the pass-throughs will make it higher. But what I'm talking about, the review, is the base tariff, not the pass-throughs. The base tariffs are the same as they were set in 2023. That's why I normally say, when you say the cost of power has gone up by 5 shillings, that is not true, because the cost of power has been set for 3 years.
And when they wanted to don't care whether it's the pass-through.
The problem is that the common person does not understand.